All right, we'll begin this meeting of the Housing Authority for the Sacramento City Council. Please call the roll.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan. Councilmember Dickinson. Vice Mayor Talamontes. Councilmember Pleckbaum. Councilmember Maple.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings. Here. Councilmember Vang. Here. And Mayor McCarty.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Pleckbaum, will you lead us in the land acknowledgement and pledge?
Please rise if you're able. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan, the Southern Maidu, Valley Plains, Miwok, Patun, Wintu peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather together today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contribution, and lives. Thank you. Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
So, Mayor, we move to the consent calendar, and I have no speakers for the consent calendar. It's just item number 1.
I'll move consent.
Okay. No comments. We have a motion and a second on the consent calendar. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none, consent calendar passes. Next.
So we move to item number 2 is a public hearing, City Council Housing Authority Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act hearing and approval of issuance of tax exempt bond obligations for Secura.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council members. My name is Whitney Hinton with Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency. Staff is requesting recommendation to conduct a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act hearing for the issuance of tax-exempt bonds by California Public Finance Authority, or CalPFA, for the Socorro project. Socorro is a new construction affordable housing development proposed on 0.8 acres of land located at 2000 16th Street. There will be 134 studios and one-bedrooms ranging between 30% and 60% of area median income. It will be a 5-story building with approximately 2,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space. Amenities on site will include a dog run.
Can you stop real quick? Yes, sorry, a little timeout. I'm going to ask our Vice Mayor to come in and preside. I just realized I'm within 500 feet of this property, so he's out of the recusing myself. Thank you.
Thank you. We apologize for making you stop.
Let me know if I need to start over.
Good catch. You have to look at the map. I was like, oh, that's close.
Shall I start over?
Yeah, please start over.
Good afternoon. Whitney Hinton with Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency. Staff is requesting to conduct a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, or TEFRA, hearing for the issuance of tax-exempt bonds by California Public Finance Authority, or CalPFA, for the Socorro project. Socorro is a new construction affordable housing development proposed on 0.8 acres of land located at 2000 16th Street. There will be 134 studios and one-bedrooms ranging between 30% and 60% of area median income. It will be a 5-story building with approximately 2,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space. Amenities on site include a dog run, storage for up to 70 bikes, laundry rooms on all 5 floors, multipurpose community room, and a ground floor courtyard. The project will be jointly developed with Capital Area Community Development Corporation and Mutual Housing California. Mutual Housing would be the property management company and the resident service provider. In closing, staff is requesting the public hearing for the TEFRA and the issuance of tax-exempt bonds by CalPFA for the Socorro project, and staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. We will take public comment first. City Clerk, is there any public comment?
Vice Mayor, I have no speakers on this item.
Okay, thank you so much. Looking for questions. Okay, Councilmember Dickinson.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Vice Mayor. I have to adjust my language from a history what I've said in the past. I do have a couple of questions. I'm curious why it's PFA that's financing this, rather than us doing it locally.
The developer came to us with the request to go with Cal PFA. I'll have Christine add.
Sure, yes, Councilmember, we usually are the bond issuer. In fact, almost all the time, we want to be the bond issuer. That's to ensure that over time, we're the monitoring entity for the affordable housing to ensure it's being operated and run well and maintained in good condition. In this one case, the developer had already had a relationship with Cal PFA on this property and applied for bonds prior to sort of working with us in a way on this project. So we did make an exception for this because they were so far along in the process. But you are right, we typically recommend that we are the bond issuer.
Well, Christina, once you have anticipated my next questions, which are given this arrangement, what are the assurances we have about the quality and character of the construction, firstly, and then secondly, how do we ensure oversight of operations and maintenance since we're not the bond issuer?
Right. Well, staff did do our typical due diligence before we came to you. So we had our construction staff review all of the numbers to make sure the quality and our requirements were being met, everything from the type of flooring being used to the countertops that will last at a very minimum 15 years, but most of our minimum construction requirements last longer than that to make sure they're in good condition. We did analyze everything from their property management plan and leases to their resident service plan. So we can only do so much up front. So up front, it looks very good. It looks like their budget is sufficient to pay for the operations. We do have a good relationship and on lots of mutual projects in our portfolio. They are good property managers. But you are correct. We have no way to legally enforce any. We won't be monitoring, so we won't be going out annually like we typically do. We won't be checking files to make sure residents are income qualified or, paying correct rents. We won't have any legal ability to do any of those things.
So you've also made some judgment about the adequacy of the maintenance reserves for the project as well, I'm assuming.
We did look at it, so at least for the first 15 to 20 years, it seems sufficient, yes.
And can you tell us a little bit more about this particular bond issuer, some details on their operations, who they have financed in the past, what kind of track record they have? I mean, if we don't have any direct oversight ability, then give us a reason that we should be confident that these folks, as the bond issuer, will exercise due diligence in their oversight.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about them. They are a fairly new bond issuer. They originate from Kings County. This would be the second project that they've requested issue bonds in Sacramento, the city of Sacramento, the first being in Council District 1 last year. They are fairly new at this, so they don't have a very long track record, so I can't tell you how that will go.
In light of that, is there any opportunity to contractually enter into an agreement with them to either allow us to maintain oversight or to agree to certain performance criteria with respect to their own oversight? Is that that had not occurred to me before, but it makes me wonder whether that's something that might be available.
Is Cal PFA? Do they have a representative here today? No. We can reach out to them. I think this project is pretty far along. We can talk to them about that. I will say this, just you didn't ask this, but I'll provide this. One of the reasons we've had a couple developers ask to use other issuers is that the fees were a little bit lower than ours. We have since adjusted our fees to match theirs. So Other than that, I don't know why, you'd want to go with another issuer. But we can investigate that some more before closing, for sure.
I don't want to hold this up. This is a good project, and it should move forward. I just want to do what we can for the future when none of us are sitting here and other people are asking questions if it's not well maintained and well kept. What were those people doing back then? Why weren't they paying attention? So if that's possible to explore, I think it could be beneficial, and it might be helpful for the future in cases where we see someone from outside the area as a bond issuer for one of these TEFRA hearings.
Agreed,
Anyway,
Michelle.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra?
Thank you very much. I think just briefly on that, we had very lively discussions in the past about this particular challenge of looking at other entities like Cal PFA. But one of the things that I would worry about is where we have dual oversight and dual fees that are being collected. One of the reasons why that we pushed hard on trying to actually look at a different provider was to look at the best rates and possible. But I don't think there's anything wrong with us looking at what kind of oversight to make sure in the long run. But I don't want to go backwards on the fee structure, because that was elevating the cost of delivering affordable housing projects. And the affordable housing projects are already extremely high. I think we also need to manage the fee structure on those. So nothing wrong, I think, with looking at what's the best oversight role, but I would hate to say we're going to pay for Cal PFA and then also SHRA on fee structures. But with that, I'm ready to move this forward as well.
Okay. So Mayor Pro Tem Guerra, are you opening and closing the public hearing?
I will open and close the public hearing, and if it's okay, I'll move the item since it's not in my district.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. So I have a motion and a second. Anyone else? All right, let's call the roll.
Councilmember Kaplan. Councilmember Dickinson. Councilmember Pleckbaum. Councilmember Maple. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra. Councilmember Jennings.
Yes.
Councilmember Vang.
Yes.
Mayor McCarty is recused. Vice Mayor Talamantes.
Yes.
Thank you, item passes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. Moving along to the discussion calendar, item 3. Authorization to execute and deliver First Amendment to Master Pledge and Assignment Agreement for Broadway.
Yes, hello again. Whitney with Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency. Staff is requesting authorization to execute and deliver amendments to bond documents related to the Broadway Senior Center apartments. In 2008, the Housing Authority issued mortgage revenue bonds. The bond documents must be refinanced in March of 2025. In order to permit additional time to refinance the project, the borrower has requested the Housing Authority, as the bond issuer, to enter into the amendment to the master pledge and assignment with U.S. Bank to extend the date by 6 months. Broadway Senior Apartments is located at 5200 Broadway. There are 120 units comprised of 1 and 2 bedrooms, ranging between 50% and 60% of area median income. Dawson Holdings, Inc. is the owner, and Aparto is the property management company. In closing, staff is requesting approval to execute and deliver the amended bond documents for the refinancing of Broadway Senior Apartments, and staff is available to answer any questions.
Thank you. No public comment. Councilmember Maple.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I'd move to open and close the public hearing and move the item, please. This is a really important project in my district, really important to have senior housing, and I know it's difficult times, and so I really appreciate the Housing Authority for working with this project to make sure that they can do the refinance in time, so thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Dickinson.
I just had one question, and that's if you've got 15 units for developmentally disabled and families, do you need more than one ADA parking space?
That's for the next item.
Yeah, I think that's the next item. But we will answer
am
that.
I one ahead?
We will answer that question for you in the
Okay,
next
well, what's the
item.
answer? I'm just moving too fast. All right. I'm giving you a chance to think about it. Second. Yes, I'll second.
Okay. Thank you. I do remember last time this came to the council when we selected this entity to do the rehab when I was in that seat. So it's a very nice senior housing project there in the Tahoe Park area. So full support to continue it, affordability for the next generation. So with that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none. Item passes. Next item.
We move to item 4, City Council approval of additional funding for River City Apartments.
Well, staff is seeking approval to provide an additional $2.1 million to River City Apartments. In April of last year, City Council approved the bond issuance and loan commitment of $2 million. The developer applied to mortgage revenue bonds last year, but was unsuccessful due to the decreased availability of state tax credits. To fill the gap, the developer hopes to secure additional federal tax credits and the approval of our additional funds. As a reminder, River City Apartments, a new construction project on approximately 1 acre vacant lot at the corner of 69th Street and Folsom Boulevard. There will be a 5-story building with 66 units consisting of 1s, 2s, and 3 bedrooms, serving residents with income ranging between 30% and 70% of area median income. The property amenities includes community room, a barbecue area, a school-age play structure, and a half-court basketball court. This project is unique as it will be the permanent home to 15 individuals with developmental disabilities. Chelsea Investment Corporation is the developer, and Con-Am Management is the approved property management company. Resident services will be provided by Pacific Southwest Community Development Corporation. They will offer 15 hours of on-site resident services, not limited to 10 hours of after-school programming. Alta California Regional Center will provide a minimum of 15 hours of supportive care per week to the 15 individuals with developmental disabilities. In addition, Department of Developmental Services approved a $1.5 million loan to Alta California Regional Center for the support of this project. In closing, staff is requesting approval to approve the additional $2.1 million of Housing Trust Fund and Mixed Income Housing Funds to the River City Apartments project, and staff is available to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Dickinson?
Okay, I'm glad you guys are catching up. So I have the same question on this one that I had on this last item.
Would you like me to try that, Whitney? Okay. That's actually a very good question. I started thinking of that. I mean, you have a very good point there, Councilmember Dickinson. We usually just go, the developer and their parking standards are just what the city requires, so we don't usually analyze that part that much. But now that you've brought it to our attention, I think we should go back to the developer and the city staff and suggest that more ADA parking be put in place. I think that was a great suggestion. Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. I don't know if I can ask for more than that.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sure,
Yes.
but that'll do for now. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Guerra.
Member Dickinson, actually, in preparation for this meeting, one of the questions I had asked, and this is for my colleagues that are on RT, is first of all, this is a great project. The council moved it forward last time. It's unfortunate we weren't successful in the funding rounds. I think this is very helpful. One of the concerns that I have, and for my colleagues that sit on RT, the RT property that's on Q Street, the good thing about this is that it's right next to light rail, which is also why it's also competitive. But the challenge with that area there is that the improvements, ADA improvements to get to the light rail station, there's like a 300-foot area where there's no sidewalk or walking area. You have to go through the asphalt. And the asphalt's seen better days there. So for my colleagues on RT, that's more of an RT property. Now the city, back then, I think it was Councilmember McCarty got some money to do and the 65th Street RAC got the money to do the improvements there on the sidewalk side as well. So that area has been improved. But I think where I would ask my colleagues on RT is to address that piece there. With this, I'm going to move this item because I think this is we need to get this project done. But again, I want to move this item with direction to staff to follow up with Sac State on their housing. This project, not only has 30% to 70% AMI for families, College Town Apartments, which was a lot of families and low-income standards that go to Sac State. There is a huge need for working families who could meet that income requirement. So, and Sac State's willing to do in conversations with them, to do the recruitment. The fact that this is so close to that area, into the campus, makes it ideal for us to be recruiting. Now, we can't restrict the students, but we can definitely look at advertising and recruiting on the campus before, so that we have the maximum potential use for this area here. And they do serve a lot of families with disabilities on the campus, so this would be, again, another ideal place for students who want to go to Sac State, that have disability challenges, who could benefit from close and affordable housing. So with that, I'll move the item with this direction.
Okay. All righty, we have a motion and a second. Comment? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Hearing none, measure passes.
We now move to item number 5, which is 2026 One-Year Action Plan, Federal Programs Allocations Process Workshop number 1.
Good afternoon, Christine Weichert with SHRA. Today is the first workshop for the City of Sacramento 2026 Annual Action Plan. The workshop provides information on several federal programs and opportunity to solicit project ideas. I'll start with providing a brief overview of the program requirements, the estimated 2026 amounts, examples of past projects, and the schedule moving forward. SHRA administers Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, Home, Emergency Solutions Grant, or ESG, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, or HOPWA, on behalf of the city. HUD requires grant recipients to complete a consolidated plan, which is a 5-year plan that identifies community needs and strategies to meet those needs. In addition to the consolidated plan, HUD also requires that we prepare an annual action plan which identifies specific activities and projects that will be undertaken. Oops, I'm sorry. These next few slides focus on the CDBG funds. This slide shows the objectives that were developed in the last consolidated plan. Overall funding is to help create opportunities for low and moderate income residents through 3 different avenues: affordable housing, public facilities and infrastructure, and public services. In addition to meeting the CDBG objectives, we must also ensure that projects meet a national HUD objective, which includes an activity that benefits an area, which means a location that is primary residential, and at least 51% of the residents must be low and moderate income. Directs assistance to low and moderate income households or individuals who are at or below 80% of area median income, and low and moderate income housing. Eligible CDBG activities include public facilities and infrastructure like community centers, playgrounds, streetlights, public services such as Meals on Wheels or shelter operations, acquisition of land for eligible activities, clearance and remediation activities, and planning and administration. There are also ineligible activities, which include general government buildings and expenses, operation and maintenance, purchasing of equipment, new housing construction, political and religious activities, and regional parks and facilities. And I also should note here that other things we look at include things like how quickly the project can be completed. We must spend the CDBG funds in a timely manner, so it's important that we select projects that are ready to go in the next 12 or 18 months. We typically receive the current year's appropriated budget allocations in April of each year. So for planning purposes, we base the estimated entitlement on the previous year, so in this case, 2024. As you know, Congress has not yet approved a 2025 budget, but a continuing resolution is being discussed. For 2026, we're estimating that we'll receive about $4.5 million for CDBG, and we just went over the activities CDBG can be used for. For home, we expect about $2.2 million, and home funds typically go to construction of new multifamily affordable housing projects. For ESG, we estimate about $400,000. These funds help people who are homeless, for example, through rental assistance and operation of emergency shelters. And for HOPA, we're estimating $2 million, and HOPA is used to provide services and housing development for people with HIV or AIDS. So overall, an estimated $9.1 million. For CDBG, the annual entitlement is divided amongst several categories. This table shows how the funds may be utilized. For estimating purposes, we allocate the maximum allowable for both public services administration and then work backwards from there to determine how much funds are available to other categories. We allowed for an allocation of up to 15% to public services, so that would be about $675,000. Usually these funds, again, are for homeless shelter operations and Meals on Wheels. A maximum of 20% to planning and administration. This is used to pay for staff, planning, and fair housing activities. About $1 million goes to infrastructure and public facility improvements. In addition, there's a loan repayment for infrastructure at Marisol Village, and that repayment is currently estimated at $980,000. Approximately $845 million for affordable housing, and these funds go to multifamily rehabilitation and home repairs for low and moderate income homeowners. The last category is capital reserve, which is a contingency. The next few slides list the infrastructure projects funded over the past 5 years per council district. This slide shows park and infrastructure projects in districts 1, 2, and 3. The next slide shows districts 4 and 5. Again, you can see a lot of parks and complete street type of projects have been funded. And this last slide shows districts 6, 7, and 8. So the final slide outlines the process to identify projects for the 2026 action plan. SHRA has initiated the process of meeting with city staff to discuss project ideas. We're currently holding our first action plan workshops. And in June, we'll have a draft list of projects that we'll be presenting to our commission and city council. August through October, we'll be finalizing the action plan, and we'll be at council again in October for the approval before we send it to HUD on November 15th. And this concludes my presentation. Once again, we welcome any input you have for action plan projects, either now or any time before the next workshop, which is currently planned for June 10th. And staff's available to answer any questions you may have.
Mayor, I have no public comment on this item.
Okay. No public comment. Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate this time. Do want to thank the SHRA for their support in past projects in District 6, particularly those on traffic safety and crosswalks and in areas where we've had individuals, close to the George Sims Center run over. I think, and then also the efforts on ensuring that we can get some money for bathrooms in some of our parks where we have a lot of young kids who need to be able to have them close by. So I'm glad that that's moving forward. I know we had to switch some around because of the income requirements, and I think it's important that we get information out to those communities who were expecting that eligibility to be able to be notified, and then also get those projects moving forward. Now, as we go through planning, a couple areas where I think I'd like to see some more exploration, and that is on the home repair side, on the emergency home repair side. Code enforcement has a home repair program where people are getting fined for issues that they have, but many of the folks that are getting fined are folks elderly and a fixed income, veterans. Habitat for Humanity has gone out there and done some repair programs, but I'd like to see if there's a way that CDBG funds can be part of that on the emergency repair. And I know that there may be some conflict because we have to put the money forward on the type of project, but I'd like to have some exploration if there's a way for us, if there's any federal funding in the future, to be able to fund that code enforcement with the income eligibility for folks who can't fix their home but are continuing to get fined. So on the second one, we are doing some of this funding Fruit Ridge Road's an example of the complete streets and safety improvements. But I wonder if there are, in our effort to respond to the Active Transportation Commission's request for tactical urbanism, where, a little bit of money can go a long way. If we can work with Public Works on identifying, some projects that we can get a lot for little on safety repair. And I'm thinking about just on, in District 6 on, 21st Avenue and 58th, making sure that we do even the bulb outs or the ways so that the vehicles aren't turning quickly without stopping and avoiding that rolling right turn when we've seen kids that are getting hit on bikes because people aren't stopping. But those tactical urbanism pieces could probably potentially be helpful. So there's already a process moving forward that our staff have, so I'd like to see if we can look through Public Works if there's an eligibility there. Finally, what I'd like to have a conversation about is how is our access and different programs, whether they be home or CDBG, working in concert with our commercial corridor revitalization strategies. Like, we know those corridors are expensive to pull together, and some of it is happening through the federal funds that we have. But can we overlay? Because $4 million is not a lot of money, with CDBG. But overlaying some of those with the other work that we're doing, for example, maybe the tactical urbanism or safety improvements from the Mercy Housing Project at San Juan Motel crossing Stockton Boulevard to the shopping center will not only improve commerce, but it'll improve the safety of people crossing that area because they have to essentially walk 600 feet or more to get to that intersection. But that helps the commercial corridor revitalization and meets some of those mutual goals. So it's not a lot of money, so how can we overlay that in the areas where we actually have a tougher challenge? So those are my 3 points there. Code enforcement with home repair. Second, what are the low-cost Vision Zero or tactical urbanism projects that we can achieve through this? And the third piece is how are we overlaying all of this with the city's commercial corridor strategy that we've already approved and move forward? And I'll stop there.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, as always, thank you. And hopefully we get to at least get this year of funding so we can plan things. As we're planning things, I just want to get it out there. This funding could be pulled back, correct?
It could be, yes.
So I just want to, all good plans could go aside if for whatever reason the funding goes away.
Yes, for 2025, I'm hoping by the time we're in front of you in June, we'll have a better idea at least what happened in 2025. I'm not sure when we'll know about the 26 budget for the.
Thank you. One of the things which I'm proud now that District 1 has an area that qualifies. Robla is near and dear, and one of the things, if you drive around Robla, what you'll see, because this was brought into the city later, is there are incomplete streets and sidewalks that are not completed. And some of these are where our kids travel to get to and from school. And one of the areas which borders Councilmember Dickinson and I is Norwood. And we do have, it is one of the more dangerous roadway intersections where we have funding within the city and a plan to start upgrading it to make it safer. But I think when you look at it, there are areas of Norwood that do not have sidewalk. And I would like to see if we can use, because we have great plans in the city. Sometimes we just don't have funding to implement them. And I'd like to take a look at what we've already done as a city. How can we add on to some of the areas where we already have funding to make it a complete street? So it is safe for our seniors and our kids to get to school, especially if we even just concentrate on one side of the street that is completely safe for them to travel. So I would really like to see, I am already working with city staff on this, and if we could, there's a couple areas that don't have sidewalks that I think that this would help complete it, and would love to see if that can be part of the CDBG plan for coming, that we see come back to
Yeah,
us.
absolutely. Thank you. It's a great use of funds.
Thank you. Councilmember Dickinson.
Thanks, Mayor. And I certainly would second the sentiments expressed by Councilmember Kaplan with respect to Norwood and Robla in general. But it also reminds me of the question of, we have so much more we could invest CDBG, and then we've got dollars. This is, as long as I can remember, and that's a year or two, that has been a struggle for us to figure out what's the best strategy with respect to use of our CDBG dollars. So I'm curious, Christine, what is the current thinking to try to focus the money as much as possible for impact, given that you may have a limited geographic application of the money under that approach, or is it more to spread it out to try to help here and there across the city?
I think our number one, well, besides, I already stated that we're looking for projects that can be completed quickly, so most likely the design is either underway or can be done quickly, but also leveraging other dollars. So if, for example, if the city has already started to work on a project and CDBG can come in and just fill that last bit of the gap that the city is looking for to complete it, I think that's really important to us. I think in recent years, we've ended up with sort of is not spread out completely, but not just concentrated on one or two projects. We've been selecting about 4 or 5 projects annually, so it's sort of between the two, you know.
I appreciate the answer, and you know, after seeing this and thinking about it for a long time, I tend to think that concentrating makes more sense than trying to get more places in a sense covered, because you don't have the impact when you spread it out. But it makes it tough. You know, if you're talking about commercial corridors, as Mr. Guerra was, and you're talking about a street in Roble. I mean, it's not a question of worthiness. We've got plenty of worthiness, but I think over time I've come to the conclusion is, where can you have the greatest impact with a limited set of dollars? I certainly do agree with leveraging the money to the maximum extent possible. By the way, I didn't see the charts you put up, Christine, attached to the staff report. I don't know if I missed them, but they weren't here as I saw them. So.
Oh, would you like the PowerPoint? I'm sorry, we can get that for you for sure.
I would appreciate that very much. Perhaps other members would as well.
We can absolutely share that.
The other thing I wanted to touch on has to do with the ESG and the HOPWA funding. And you mentioned in the staff report in the description that among the eligible uses of that money is homelessness prevention. I really do think, and I've expressed this to the director and SHRA staff, that we need to do much more with respect to focusing on prevention. Again, we have limited dollars, clearly, and so we have to be judicious about how we use them. We have traditional uses of ESG and HOPWA money for sure, for a long tail, but maybe it's something that we need to think about a little bit. Can we use some more of that money in prevention efforts? And Mayor, this is part of something that's, I think, larger, and I understand we're going to have a workshop, I think in April, on what we're doing with homelessness. Hopefully that will be comprehensive. We'll look not just at what the city's doing, but what the county's doing, what Sacramento Steps Forward is doing, what the agency is doing, so we can see the entirety of the landscape with respect to this and figure out how we most effectively apply the totality of resources that we have available to us. And again, no secret, I'm going to be asking how do we get more into prevention across those sources. In this context, I just suggest or ask maybe that you think about what's our capacity and our capability here, understanding there are trade-offs. So maybe the trade-offs are ones we don't want to make, but also that's something that I'd like to see us consider.
Yeah, I would say thank you. That was very helpful. The ESG, we do work very closely with the county and the city on the ESG funds. And right now, they're basically, it's not quite even, but almost. Half of it goes to the shelter, the operations of the shelters, and the other half is going to rapid rehousing. So that's an attempt to get people who have just become homeless back into housing quickly so that they can resolve their issues. So it's not quite prevention, but it's close to it,
Yeah, I
getting
think
people back out, yeah.
we got to help people stay housed before they end up on the street. We just have to do a better job of that. And that's not just the agency.
Yes.
That's incumbent on all of us, I think. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Maple.
All right, thank you, Mayor, and appreciate the presentation as always. I learn a little bit more each and every year about how this process works, and you've always been incredibly helpful, you and your team, on helping us navigate this. I think, from a very broad perspective, I think Councilmember Dickinson also mentioned this in his own way, but really a focus on equity. We've talked about that a lot at this council, led by Councilmember Mai Vang, Councilmember Jennings, and others, about how it's not just about spreading our resources as a city evenly everywhere and hoping for the best. It's really about how do we maximize our resources in the areas that need it the most to the residents who are struggling the most. And so I just hope that we also take that lens in this work too. And I know that we do spread it across the districts, as I think that's a fair thing. But it is a challenge, of course, because representing a lot of the communities that I do, you see real disparities in terms of the basic resources that people have, whether it be in their parks or in their neighborhoods. I know that Councilman Kaplan mentioned about sidewalks, and so those are areas where I think if we can make improvements there, we can get more bang for our buck and definitely make an impact in terms of equity. I really appreciate the focus on maybe doing less projects, but making sure they're impactful, rather than spreading small amounts of money around that may not be able to do as much. I think that's a good strategy. I also like the doing what can be done quickly, what can leverage other gaps. I think that makes a lot of sense, and is a good strategy. I have a couple of specific things for District 5, and one thing in particular, Councilmember Guerra mentioned this as well about complete streets. Completely agree with you on the tactical urbanism and ways that we can really quickly and efficiently make our streets safer. I think one area in particular is I know our staff has already put together a brilliant Freeport Boulevard plan that yet has, I believe, no funding to actually do a lot of the improvements, and they're working on the design elements. So I'd love to have that be somewhere that is considered as a part of your work, is if there's any areas that can be bolstered by this money. The other, and this is more long range, but for those who may not know, the city used to own and operate a gun range within the city limits at Mangan Park. And then back many, not many, but several years ago before I was on this dais, this body allocated money to make sure there was remediation and cleanup of that gun range facility. So it is there. It is a vacant building. It does not provide any value currently to any of the residents in that area. And it's an area that's really in need of some kind of community resource. The community there is very interested in there being some kind of community center. I've used the word community now 10 times, but I'm really driving it home. Something that they can use, and rather than having a vacant building that causes blight. So I would love for that to be at least considered as an area at the very outset. I know that it will take more money than what is offered up in CDBG, but I'm hoping that we can be strategic at some point in the future and figure out what that looks like, because I'm a little worried about it sitting there for another few decades without use. And so those are the areas that I'd like to see for now. Really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further comments or questions, there is no vote on this item, right? Review and provide direction, which we did. So I guess the only thing I say is, watch C-SPAN every day and see what's going on, and it's frightening. And all we can do is keep our heads down and focus on what's in front of us today. So we know we have these programs. We've been implementing them for several years. It's SHRA since 1982. So we assume, unless we're told otherwise. And even if there are some actions, there's, legal challenges and other things in the interim too. So stay the course. Thank you.
Thank you.
So are there any council comments, ideas, questions? Seeing none, is there an SHRA Executive Director report?
I just had one comment. It's really to follow up exactly on what you were talking about, Mayor, is that we are very closely looking at the discussions going on with the federal budget. As you know, they are working on a continuing resolution, which, if it's approved and it's a clean CR, we would be funded at the levels from 2024, which is really still very hard, because none of our costs stay the same. However, if the CR does include directions that gives more authority for the executive level of the branch to make changes, it could have a huge impact on our programs going forward. So we will continue to keep you updated, and we will know more by Friday, because that is the deadline.
Okay. Thank you.
I have 3 speakers for public comment matters not on the agenda. So first is Brooke Miller Jacobs, then Paul Jacobs, then Christina Rogers.
Good afternoon, and thank you for your time. On the evening of January 7th, a bullet from a drive-by shooting in the 60 block of CV Circle, Marina Vista, traveled over 650 feet into the mill where I live and struck my daughter's bedroom window while she was getting ready to go to bed. The Housing Authority of the City of Sacramento has their admissions and continued occupancy policy document. It states federally assisted housing is intended to provide a place for residents to live and raise families, not a place to commit crime, to use or sell drugs, or threaten, intimidate, harm, or terrorize neighbors. This is not happening at Alder Grove. It's not happening at Marina Vista. It's spilling over into the other neighborhoods. Crime is getting worse. It's not going away. Sacramento Police Department conducted a CPTED report for Marina Vista. Has SHRA Commission or City Council seen this report? SHRA has turned things around for Marisol Village, formerly Dos Rios, from a highly violent community to a community with very little violent crime. We demand the same be done for Marina Vista and Alder Grove, and demand the following: strong management on site to enforce the rules. Enforce the rules. Complete fencing around the entire property. Monitored and limited access by gates in the property. More cameras in public areas. Real-time access to camera footage by SAC PD. Sacramento City Council and SHRA Commission needs to spend some quality real time at Marina Vista and Alder Grove to just see how bad things are. Remember, it's your responsibility to endorse and implement a policy designed to help create and maintain a safe, crime and drug-free community. What do I tell my daughter?
Thank you for your comments. Paul Jacobs.
Good afternoon, Mayor McCarty, City Council members, and Director Dozer. My name is Paul Jacobs, and I'm also here to speak about the crime and violence occurring at 2 SHRA properties not on the agenda today, Alder Grove and Marina Vista. You just heard from my wife, who has been trying to speak up and raise awareness about the January 7th shooting, as well as other problematic levels of crime and violence in these communities. However, after my wife spoke to the County Board of Supervisors on January 28th, requesting for them to put pressure on the SHRA Commission to do something, Supervisor Cerna's response noted that his staff are available to help direct my wife to contact her City Council member concerning this issue. Additionally, at a February 19th SHRA Commission meeting, in response to several people's testimony, including my wife's, Commissioner Ahmad Four recommended that the community members reach out to their City Council members again and their county supervisor. It appears to me that people who have a responsibility in this joint effort are not taking responsibility for these issues and are giving us the runaround. I am here today to encourage the City Council members to contact your appointed SHRA Commissioner and remind them, explain to them their important oversight role they have over SHRA's responsibility to create safe and crime-free communities on their properties. The Commission also seems interested in creating some type of community safety committee to address these concerns. To be clear, nobody's requesting this of them or asking them to do this. Community members are not experts in crime reduction and safety measures. However, the city fortunately has those experts on hand, the Sacramento PD. What we're asking for is that SHRA and the commission work closely with Sacramento PD to resolve these issues that we're seeing at these properties. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Christina Rogers is our final speaker this afternoon.
Good afternoon, City Council. I'm requesting that you support SHRA with their deadly crime issues at the Alder Grove Marina Vista site. It appears they do not follow their own public safety and resident rules. Last year, this lax attention to site safety resulted in the use of illegal firearms and deaths on the property. 2024 had at least 6 shooting investigations on the Alder Grove Marina Vista property, which included the death of a 7-year-old girl, and a man has already been shot and killed there this year. As much as people claim to be concerned about gun violence and people of color, it's shocking to me so many victims are being produced at the SHRA site. Honestly, if several citizens, including Alder Grove citizen residents, hadn't gone to recent SHRA committee meetings to talk about the gun violence, it would not have been on their radar. After a child was murdered on SHRA property, can you believe that? There must be a public safety audit on the site immediately. Their current security team needs auditing and questions asked, and law enforcement must be included as well. SHRA has a long waiting list for public housing. If you have residents who harbor shooters and criminals, they need to go. And on the police scanner, people have heard the SHRA residents waving criminals into their buildings. When a child has died, that should light a fire under every accountable adult. SHRA has failed in its commitment to the residents. And please don't tell me there's no money for public safety there. Like tonight, I've seen the SHRA committee approve millions of dollars for projects and other activities. This isn't about money, it's about priorities. Black and brown people are actually dying there. Please help SHRA get their priorities straight. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Mayor, I have no more speakers. We do have a closed session following this meeting. May I read that to the record?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a 3 p.m. special meeting for the purpose of a closed session. We've got 2 items on that agenda. Item 1 is pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6 for a matter pertaining to negotiations with recognized bargaining units, Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency, SHRA Employees Association. The purpose is to confer with the SHRA's chief negotiators, Lachelle Dozier and James Shields. Item 2 is pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B for a matter pertaining to personnel, performance evaluation of the Director of the Office of Public Safety Accountability. I have the full council here in chambers, and I have no public comments for either of these items. So, Mayor, you may adjourn to closed session.
Yes, we will. Thank you. Adjourn to closed session.